Welcome to MJSA Expo Online. We're so glad to have you back this week. We have a really exciting session for you today about Gemvision, and there are some new product features and offerings, and I personally cannot wait to get into it. But before we get started, let me just do a little housekeeping. Can you guys go into the chat box? It's either to the right of your screen or just below it, depending on your device size. And just let me know if you can see and hear me okay. And Bo and Oriel, will you just say hi so we can make sure they can hear you too?
Hello, how are you?
Hello, everyone. How are you doing?
All right, so far Lucy can hear us. We need to make sure that more than one person can hear us before I'm confident it's working. Charlie, hey, good to see you back. Hi, Shauna. All right, good, we're good to go. Okay, so once again, this is MJSA Expo Online, bringing MJSA suppliers to the community so that you can get to know them better and their products better. And today we're talking about Gemvision. So joining me today are two really fun guys who know a lot about CAD. We have Bo Vallow. Bo is the Central Territory Sales Director for Gemvision at Stoller. And as you guys know, Gemvision is part of Stoller. When Bo was attending University of Louisiana Lafayette, that's a mouthful, but everything in Louisiana is a mouthful, right? For mechanical engineering, he attended a job fair where Stoller was presenting, and he was just amazed at the 3D printing solutions that Stoller had on offer. So he started at Stoller in April of 2014, and then he joined a CAD/CAM department as a support and printing tech. And then he's been working his way through up to the point of team leader of CAD/CAM, and as a member of what you call the infamous Stoller Scout team. You're going to have to expand on that for me in a bit, Bo, which is a team of the best modelers in CAM whose focus is primarily from scratch designing. And then from there in 2018, he moved to the Gemvision group to focus on the Central Territory sales. So Bo supports all the users and interested customers in Gemvision's suite of solutions. Okay, there are fun facts about Bo. I think we're going to have to challenge him for this. Think about it, put it in the questions. He can have a complete conversation using just movie quotes. So if you want to quote, today's the day to challenge him. He also likes really, really spicy peppers and gumbo, but he is in New Orleans. We kind of expect that. Yeah. And New Orleans Saints games for him take priority over almost everything. So this is Bo Vallow.
Almost everything.
Almost everything.
Family and business comes first.
Oh, there you go. Now we also have with us Oriel Colledemont, and he is the product director for Gemvision. He's responsible for gathering all the customer feedback and then being the advocate for the users with the development group in the company. And that's his role here today as well, to be making sure he's staying in touch with the users and knowing what you need so that they can continue to build value into the Gemvision suite. Oriel is a bench jeweler and a gem setter, so he really understands the product from making it. You know, it's not just technology to Oriel. He's a jeweler, and I always think that's really important when I talk to people that people understand what it means to make something before they just design it virtually. So these are our guests today. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, Andrea.
Oh, for sure. Also, Oriel's joining us from south of Spain.
Yes, from Barcelona, actually.
Barcelona, okay. So for him.
Yes, we have actually Gemvision. We have two offices. We have one in, as you said, in Louisiana, and we have another one in Barcelona. So in Barcelona, we also have developers. We have marketing, and it's good to have these two companies. So we have customers around the world. So from Barcelona, when the day starts in Australia, in Barcelona is afternoon, so we still can deal with our customers in Australia and then Middle East and Europe, and then we finish the day in US and the west coast of US. So we can talk to all our customers the whole day.
Well, which Sounds great until it's you up past dinner time hanging out with us in the US, right?
But it happens every day.
And I always like to say that in Spain we have dinner very late, so it's not like in US. So we can have dinner like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and it's not a problem. This is a Spain. So
they also have siestas too. Verified.
That's not true. That's not true. I never got that.
I don't even know. All right. So how do you guys want to kick this off, Bo? I know you have a little PowerPoint presentation to show, and I know you're going to do some desktop demos. And guests, we are going to entertain questions from you throughout. So get your questions in the chat box as well. But how do you want to start?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and share my screen, and we can go through the presentation and open it up for questions shortly after. And then we can get into a little bit of demo just to kind of showcase what makes MatrixGold special. So
cool.
All right, bear with me 1 second. Let me share my screen. Let's open this. Oop. Let's do the presentation first. Sorry, new on this. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Is it correct?
Now, it should be up any second.
No, yes.
All right. So as you guys can see, the presentation is about MatrixGold. So that's kind of why we're all here today. So this presentation is going to be quite short. So we're just kind of going to go through a few things right here. So obviously today, Andrea eloquently put, Oriol and myself will be the presenters. So just a little background, Andrea did a great job. So just to elaborate a bit, I started in CAD/CAM, which is the fulfillment and kind of production side of Stellar. So we take all of the files that are sent to us through softwares and we manufacture them. So all the models that are submitted through MatrixGold, through CounterSketch, even through RhinoGold and regular Matrix, and we produce them. So to Andrea's point, it's good to kind of have that knowledge of the physical piece before you actually get into the digital manufacturing of it. So that's kind of my background, and Oriol can maybe elaborate a little bit more on his background too.
Well, yes, actually, Andrea had done a very, very good introduction. But as she was saying, I have been in the jewelry industry always from the very first time that I started to work. So I started in the bench as a gem setter, bench jeweler, and I always say that even we keep improving more and more our software, and helps a lot of jewelers. Having this knowledge from the bench is very, very important. At the end of the day, we cannot tell you what thickness do you need for every prong that you do or every wire that you design in our software. So I think that this knowledge is very, very important. I love jewelry, so being able to see from the moment that you design in our software to the step that you can have the jewel in your hands, I love all this process. And we are lucky in Stellar that we can see all this process. So I'm super thankful to be in this part. I also have been getting now, because I keep on all these different positions, and now I'm more in this managing area. Also, I have been on an MBA, so now I have the knowledge on gathering, as Andrea was saying, all this feedback that we get from customers around the world, and then getting all this feedback and moving into all this feedback into our software. This is something that I wish that it would be as easy as we are saying, but this requires a lot of work with developers to find the solutions that we need, and many times is not just about making this software with the feedback that we have from our customers. Is also letting all our customers know what we have done in our software. So it's not just making a software, then we need to present our software teach our software and let everybody know what they can do with our software. So it's a whole process that has a lot of steps, and this is mostly what I'm doing now in Gemvision. As Bo was saying, we have a very good team. Bo, with all the knowledge that he has from the CAD/CAM, this is something that customers really enjoy when they have any doubt. So calling to Gemvision and having Bo on the other side of the line is something that really gives confidence to our customers to know anything that they need to know from our software. So I really believe that we have a great team, and we can wait to keep listening to our customers and improving and working in our software.
Yep, that is so true. And to Oriol's point, it is much more difficult than you would think to gather that information and to implement it. But I assure you, work tirelessly to present the best software for you guys that we can. So let's move on to the next slide. So as you can see, MatrixGold, you have unlimited design possibilities. MatrixGold is our newest and most powerful CAD software. It draws upon its parametric core and the strengths of its predecessors, Matrix and Rhino Gold. Now, what exactly does that mean? So parametric history and the parametric core that it's speaking of is nothing really new to CAD, right? It's been around in a lot of civil and mechanical softwares like Inventor, SolidWorks, stuff like that. MatrixGold Gemvision wanted to implement it into jewelry, right? So we kind of took that idea and implemented it. Now, we learned off the strengths of our predecessors, Matrix and Rhino Gold, by understanding exactly what a customer is needing and putting it into MatrixGold. So we kind of have two areas that we combined to make MatrixGold. Now, parametric history, just to give a kind of high level insight, essentially you build a model. The commands that you choose in order will lay out that history. Now, the way it works, you select commands and build upon those commands. Let's say a customer comes in and wants to adjust or wants to make an edit. Well, you can simply edit commands rather than completely redrawing the model. So it's definitely much more efficient. Some of the key features inside are the intuitive user interface, right? So in
MatrixGold,
we wanted the user to feel comfortable, because when you're comfortable inside of a software, you're more productive, right? So essentially, everything inside of MatrixGold is adjustable. The next one, we have dynamic booleans, right? So what is a dynamic boolean? A dynamic boolean is, if you're familiar with CAD software, a boolean is just a deduction of the model, right? So anytime you put a gem cutter or a channel cutter, you deduct from the base model. Well, a dynamic boolean it takes advantage of that parametric history. So you can, in essence, boolean away from the model and still adjust the model. And this is extremely powerful because in most CAD softwares, anytime you boolean, the history is lost. Well, no longer in MatrixGold, you can boolean and still maintain that history. The next one is parametric history. Obviously, we touched on it. It's a little bit easier shown than explained. So whenever we get into the demonstration, we'll kind of showcase that a little bit more. The next one is custom libraries. So inside of MatrixGold, we have a content manager, right? The content manager, the whole idea of it was for users to create their own libraries. And because MatrixGold models, you can simply edit the model. you as the customer essentially build out that custom library of your own. That way, anytime you need to call upon that model, you can and simply edit rather than completely redraw it. The next one is design reporting. So this one may be better shown than explained as well, but you essentially are able to print out a design report of the model with renders, stone maps, metal weights, pricing, everything like that. And then the last one is ClayU. So ClayU is quite a powerful tool. For those that are familiar with T-splines or any other, sub-D or subdivision, it has that in it. So essentially you have a surface, you subdivide the surface, and using selection tools, you can select individual pieces or seams or surfaces to create this nice organic kind of surface. Well, that's the first part of ClayU. We have two other parts which are emboss. So emboss, essentially you're able to extrude a picture or height field from into a mesh. And the last one is sculpt. For those familiar with like a ZBrush type software where you essentially have a clay ball that you can sculpt using the cursor and stuff like that. So over to the right, you can see the system requirements. You can find all of this and even more on our website. You can go to gemvision.com and you can check out these system requirements if you want to see if your computer can handle it. So so we do have a lot going on right now. So I would like Oriel to kind of touch on a few things, but I'm gonna change to the next slide and then he can kind of talk a bit about.
All right, so thanks for that, Bo. As you have seen, Bo has told you a bit about MatrixGold. I would say as a summary that with MatrixGold you can do anything that you want. So we have everything in one software, and as he was talking about ClayU, I believe that this is very, very important also to mention, because these are little things that for any jeweler is what Andrea was saying at the very beginning. So many jewelers are coming from the bench. Actually, they need to go to MatrixGold, and this is a new world. So this is digital. So everything that they were doing with their hands now needs to be done through a computer. So we are always trying to think how we can represent the bench into one screen. So this is one of our biggest challenge that we have. So having all these little parts of ClayU and MatrixGold, the parametric part, we try to make it easy for the jeweler. There is other softwares, because CAD design today is very, very big. So there are many softwares that are even bigger than our one, but are for bigger projects. For a jeweler, we try to make it easier for them. So for the kind of designs that they need to do. And I believe that this is something that is not seen just from MatrixGold, but we work very, very hard with that. So what we can do for the jewelers to make their day by day easier. And I really believe that having these little parts, ClayU, emboss, sculpt, the parametric helps a lot to the customers. The parametric side that Bo was talking is not just because many times the customers are asking us, oh, but I don't do a lot of collections, so I don't need to start from one model and do 10 different designs from that model. But we know as a jewelers that many times when you are designing anything, you show it to the customer and the customer comes back to you and says, yes, I like this, but you know what? I would like just to touch this little bit from there. For the designer, many times this represents 2 hours of labor, because they need to go back to the very beginning and start not to do the model from zero, but it requires quite a long time to do that. With the parametric side, you just need to go to the step where you can change that value that the customer is asking you to change, and everything recalculates by itself. Not always, but most of the time. So this cuts the designing time a lot. So I really believe that is very, very important. All right. This being said, and before that, Bo starts with showing how to model with MatrixGold, I would like just to mention, because we have here a few customers that probably are also from a installer, we have had a lot going on with Stellar in the last weekend. As probably everyone knows, we had a cyber attack, very hard. So we have to work very hard now, bring everything up again. So I just want to say it here. I don't want to go too deep because here we are today to show MatrixGold, but really appreciate all our customers that they have been texting and calling us, being on our side on these very hard, tough moments for us. We really appreciate the patience that they have. Everything, all the developers are working very hard, and everything is being fixed. Honestly, I'm impressed how fast these developers and technicians are working and fixing everything that we need to be fixed. So anyone that wants any update, they can go to stellar.com. At the very top, we have a banner where there is a link to the blog and also a chat. And any update that we have, they can go there, they can call us. So we try to be at our customer side. We know that in these days, everyone is very busy. So we just want to help our customers as much as we can in these difficult times. Yeah. So thank you for that. And now, Bo, if you want to start with this, or Andrea, if you have any question before.
I just want you to go ahead and answer. Some of our guests are on mobile and they don't necessarily switch back and forth between comments and video. So Alex had asked how much the software costs and if there was a recommended 3D printer to work with. And you answered in chat, but I thought maybe you could answer here too.
Yeah.
Bo, if you want to.
Sure. Yeah. So the base software goes for $7,900. So there are a few different ways that you can cross over to MatrixGold as well. So as I spoke, we have the upfront purchase where you can purchase if you have no prior software of ours. But for MatrixGold, we also implemented a trade-in program. So we will actually take back our old software, Matrix and Rhino Gold. So it depending on what version you're on, it depends on what the cost to you will be. But for instance, if you are on Rhino Gold 6.5, right? I see a comment down there. I have Rhino Gold 6.5. What's the trade-up deal? So the cost for Rhino Gold 6.5 to trade into MatrixGold would be $4,403. And if you're on Matrix 9, which is our most powerful legacy, that would be $3,580. So it is more cost effective to do the trade-in. Now, if you, like I said, don't, then we do have the upfront purchase of $79, but we also have 12 months financing at 0 interest if you do need.
And also something that I like to comment here is that MatrixGold is a new software. So many times customers, they were used to the upgrades that we were having in Matrix and Rhino Gold, but MatrixGold is a new software. This is why the price is a bit more expensive than an upgrade. And also, this being said, we allow you to keep your old license for 6 months. We know that the transition from one software to the other is not easy, and you still need all these jobs done. So we don't want you stop your jobs and because you need to learn the new software. So you have 6 months so you can do this transition.
That's a lot of companies don't do that, but I just want to reinforce that it's not an upgrade to Matrix. It's a new software. So people will get tripped up on that and be like, why can't I just do my usual upgrade path?
Yeah, and this is something that we are dealing a lot with. Customers, they were used to Matrix or Rhino Gold, workflows from Matrix or Rhino Gold, and they are trying to get the same with MatrixGold. There is many tools that work the same. So we have many tools that we just broke from Matrix into MatrixGold. The only thing that now you can link all these tools together and it makes the parametric history. But there is also new workflows that Matrix users say, hey, I didn't used to do that in that way. They need to learn to do it. They still can do it how they were doing it in Matrix because at the end of the day, we are using Rhino. So Rhino is just deep inside. But with MatrixGold, you can learn that if you follow the flow that we are showing you, you will be much faster. So I believe that it's good to have these 6 months, so you keep doing your jobs. That I know that there is a lot of pressure every day to finish these jobs, but you start to learn with the easiest jobs, MatrixGold.
Yeah, and go ahead.
No, I wanted to tip you toward Kayla's question as well, but if you have something to add to that, go first.
Great minds think alike, because that is exactly what I was going to say. So Kayla asked if it was a good program for beginners. So I would say yes. So MatrixGold is very intuitive, meaning it tries to understand what you're doing and help you along the way. I will also put an asterisk on it, right? Because it is still an advanced CAD software, so it does take a lot of training, right? But it's easier to understand than our previous software. So yes, I would definitely say it is a good program for beginners as long as you're dedicated to the training.
Hey, you guys, is there an active user community for Matrix? Like, can you find a lot of answers and help within the community?
We are working on that. I mean, we used to have a forum, but this is something that we really want to put effort on. So we don't want to have a forum if we cannot stay the whole day looking at the chats that we have there and answering any question that is in that forum. So we are looking what is the best solution to start a new forum. But meanwhile, we still have very active groups in social media. I try, Bo also, we try to be as much as we can in that forum, so replying customers. We also have a very, very active YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, we get a lot of hits in our YouTube channel because we try to keep as many videos as we can there. So Bo is making a webinar every Wednesday. Once the webinar is done, we upload this webinar into our YouTube channel. And any comment that these videos gets, we also are very, very active in that channel, so we reply them back.
Yeah. So, all right.
Malcolm reinforces the need for the training. He's a fine artist, jeweler, and an industrial engineer, and he says that the interface is really good considering the objective. But the learning curve is big, and that you have to stay focused on the training, and then you get there. And it takes time to learn complex software. You know, it feels insurmountable at first, and then you get you get a couple of weeks in, and you're like, oh, I know how to do some stuff. And within 5-6 months, you're like, wow, I know a lot. But you have to keep using it and fighting through the learning curve issues.
And that's exactly right. So just my first exposure to any type of CAD software was day one inside of the CAD CAM department. Back then we were on Matrix 6.3. So whenever I first sat down at the computer and the trainer opened it for me, I was like, there's no way I'm going to ever learn this. And lo and behold, you know, as time goes on, as you put, you know, you learn bits and pieces, and eventually down the road you can put them all together. Now, MatrixGold makes it a little bit easier because the user interface, you know, there's less clutter, the build paths are more streamlined, and the software kind of helps you along. So, but to Malcolm's point, yes, you definitely, even me as a veteran CAD designer, I still learn stuff, you know, every month, you know, so never stop learning and continue to try to build upon your knowledge base. And that's how you become a good designer. So,
well, it's interesting because neuroscience teaches us that the mind intuitively resists anything we don't have a model for. So if we haven't done it all before, we don't have a model for it, the mind resists it. And we interpret that resistance as meaning, I can't do this. Maybe I can't do this. That's not what it means at all. It just means I don't have a model for this yet. But when you do it, you make the model and then you build on that model. So don't trust your brain. Your brain is resisting, not because you can't learn it, but just because you don't have a model for it yet.
Yeah, and humans are inherently resistant to change, you know, but as you continue to learn, you're able to put those pieces together. And I've seen designers create truly amazing designs inside our software. So,
Yep. All
looks
right.
like
Oh,
John's ready to
the demo.
demo.
John is ready for the demo.
All right. Well, let me share my screen.
We are so excited about our software that when we can talk about it, we can stop. That's the problem.
That's very, very true.
That's what these events are for.
Now, just to make sure everyone can see my screen.
Yep, we can see it.
All good, Bo.
All right. Well, as you guys can see, this is MatrixGold. Now, the first thing right off the bat, as I said, we changed things around, right? So instead of all of the clutter and stuff you had on the left side of Matrix, we kind of took it and put it up top into a very easy to operate and use scroll bar, right? So these icons and commands you can scroll through going left and right. We have all of the sub menus that you're accustomed to from our legacy software. But in this software, we also implemented what a panel. So a panel is something new. It's an area of the software that you can actually relocate and move around, right? So going back to our initial point, right? We wanted users to feel comfortable in the software. So you're able to adjust the user interface however you see fit. You know, I've had customers say, well, I want the layers over here on the right. Well, if you want them up there, you can now do that. If you want to expand them, you can do that as well. So the possibilities, you know, are really endless, and it's really up to you how you want to lay out your user interface. Just going through them, you know, we have the quick commands, we have the projects. The projects are kind of what I spoke about previously with the content manager. So this is going to be a way to save your files. So you would create a new project and go through it, you know, start designing, and whenever you needed to save, you can do a job bag or a full save. Then the thing I want to touch on is the content manager. So this is the content manager. As you can see, we have all of my previous job bags in here, but we also have the collections tab. So this will be the custom library part that we spoke about in the presentation. So let me find one that I can show you guys. So here you see I have all the base models, and then I also have models that have the little gray man up in the top left. Now these are all the models that I saved. So anytime I want to select them and call upon them, they will enter my viewport with the apparent history over here on the right. And it's as simple as that. The next panel we have is the layers panel. So the layers, they're essentially just a way to stay organized when modeling, right? So I can come here and change colors, and I can, using selection tools, I can, you know, right click, or I can hide them and stay organized like that. The other panel we have on this side is the display mode. So this will just change the viewport look. So let's say a customer wants to see a rendered view, or you want to use another display mode for better, you know, better resolution inside, you can do that. On the right side, excuse me, the panel that really makes MatrixGold what it is going to be the dynamic commands panel. Now this is pretty much the bread and butter of MatrixGold. So as you use dynamic commands, which are the commands that have the lightning bolt up at the top, let me zoom in so everyone can see. So the commands up here in the top bar that have the little blue lightning bolt, right? These are going to be the commands that have parametric history behind the scenes. So as you use these commands, they will populate over here in the dynamic commands panel. So if ever called upon, right, you can come here and edit them to adjust the software, to adjust the model rather, sorry. So you can see I'm editing the cathedral ring rail base, which is essentially just the curve that I use to create the shank. So I can still, even though my model is complete, edit the ring. Granted, that's not a very pretty ring, but the ability is there should you want to adjust. So that is kind of a high-level insight into what parametric history is. It's a history that allows you to edit commands rather than completely redraw. Because in our legacy software, right, in order to adjust this arc up to the top or the shoulder right here, you would essentially have to select, delete, and then redraw this whole shank, but not anymore. So I'm going to get into a kind of high-level demonstration. I'm going to do a quick file new.
And I think while you are getting ready, Bo, I believe that it's very important to say that with MatrixGold, with what you are showing about the collections, what we are allowing customers is to make their own tools, because we produce these basic tools that you can see in the ribbon bar at the very top. But once you have all these models that Bo was showing you, at the end of the day, you are creating your own tools. So you will have a tool to create cathedrals with halos. You will have a tool to create cathedrals with 6 close settings. And anytime that you need to make something similar to that models, the only thing that you need to do, go to that model, open it, and from all the steps that you have in the parametric history, you can make any change that you want. Even the Booleans are already done with the cutters. You can make any change that you want in that models. So this is the good part of MatrixGold, that depending on what style do you have or what kind of jewelry you make, we allow you to create your own tools.
Yep, and that's a big one. You know, I would just thinking back to when I was in CAD CAM, I would die to have all of the commands I have in MatrixGold back when I was in CAD CAM, because you know, customers change their mind quite often, and I can't tell you the countless hours, you know, I personally spent on revisions. So MatrixGold would definitely speed that process up tremendously. So yeah, I will kind of get into just a high-level demonstration of the tools. So we're going to build just a basic halo ring with, you know, some milli on the side. So the first thing I want to do is start with a cathedral ring rail, right? So up here under the tools, I have cathedral ring rail. If I left click, it will present something like this in my viewport. Now I tend to build solely in the parametric view, just because it gives, especially when doing a live event, because it allows users to get a bigger picture, right? So if you need me to change views, just please let me know. But I'm just going to use the viewport handles a bit and kind of make a nice organic curve. Let's do 1.4, and we'll do 2 millimeters, and then down here we'll do 2 millimeters as well. So whenever I have the cathedral ring rail that I want, I can simply right click to accept. And now I have a few curves inside my viewport. The next thing I want to do is present a gem, right? So under the gems tab, we have gem on ring rail. So I'm going to select that gem on ring rail, and then it's asking to select a ring rail. Whenever I select my bridge, it will show a stone in the viewport. Okay, so over here on the dynamic commands panel, I can choose whatever stone shape we would like to go for. So I'm gonna go with an emerald, and then using the viewport control handles, I can increase or decrease the size. Just a quick thing to kind of point out, I could also use the bars and the sliders over here on the right. I tend to use the viewport handles just because it's more familiar to me, but you can definitely use these all the same. All right, so whenever I have my stone shape and size, so this is a 6 by 8, or an 8 by 6 rather, I can right click and then it will enter that gem into my viewport. The next thing I would like to do is present a halo, right? So I can, with my stone selected, go under the settings tab and select halo. Now when I do this, you can see it automatically lays out the halo for me. I can, using the viewport handles, adjust these however I would like, right? So let's reduce this. Leave this center spacing. Well, let's go down just a tad. And that looks good. So again, over here on the dynamic commands panel, I have a couple different tabs, right? So you can see I have one that handles the whole halo. I have one that handles just the metal, right? So I can click that and use the viewport handles to adjust this. And then I have one that adjusts the prongs. So I like to go through them in order, 1, 2, and then 3, just to kind of get the halo exactly how I would like it. So right now I'm reducing the inside wall width, and then I'm going to reduce the outside wall width. This halo to me is a little thick, so I would reduce this a bit. Let's go to about 1.5. And that looks about good. Maybe reduce this outside just a tad. I'm a bit of a perfectionist when modeling, so I apologize if it's taking me a bit, but I've been told it's a good trait to have when modeling, so. All right, so I can, whenever I'm ready, right click and it will accept that input. So now I have my halo. The next thing we need to do is create the shank and the bridge. So I want to head over to the Tools submenu and select Profile Placer. So it's asking me for a curve. So whenever I select that curve, you can see it puts a profile on that ring rail, right? So I can use the white ball to move it. So let's move it up here to my shoulder. But you can also see it is taller than my outside curve that I put. So I need to relate the top of this profile to this curve. And I can do that by clicking this box and just selecting the outside curve, and you can see it jumps. So now, no matter where I pull this curve, or this profile rather, it will never get taller than that outside ring rail. So let's put it up here at the shoulder. And let's reduce the width to about 2 millimeters. Let's do 2.5. Okay, so we have our top profile. Now we need to add more profiles. So you see, as I move the cursor along, I can left click and it will add another profile for me. So I can add as many profiles as I want, and it will, if I activate the auto sweep right here, it will sweep all of those profiles.
Okay.
Now, I don't need all of those because I'm just doing a simple cathedral, so I can delete them, right? If I want to select this profile, I can click the white ball and just delete. Can select this one and delete. So let's go back to the base profile, and we can taper it a bit. And let's taper it down a bit up top. So now I have a taper from, let's do 3.5 to 2 millimeters. And you can see it's following that ring rail quite nicely. So whenever I right click, I now have that surface that's been created for me. So I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. So I want to put a profile cap. That way the shoulder will touch the halo. So let's go to profile cap under the tools menu. And you can see it presents that. So let's right click. And now I need to join this shank, right? So let's go to my tools and select join and right click. So now it is one single surface, or poly surface rather. So next I need to take this shank and mirror it to the other side. So under the transform menu, I have a dynamic mirror. So if I select that, it will mirror that surface to the other side. And then I can join these two shanks together. So now when I select them, they are a single shank. Almost there. So now we need to create the bridge, right? So we can do that the same way we created this shank. Let's do a little bit of organization and change the color. Okay, so now I need to profile place one more time. So with my bridge selected, I can run profile placer again, right? So I use the activate auto sweep quite often. So when that is toggled, it will automatically sweep that curve with the profile you have selected, right? So let's reduce the width, that way we can see. And let's reduce the height, that way it fits inside of our gallery. So let's go down to 1.3 and let's reduce the width a bit. That looks good to me. So I can right click to accept. And now you see the shank is essentially created, the halo and the stone. So now we need a head, right? So let's select our center stone. Let's go to settings and run the head builder. So this will present you with a simple basket head, but using the dynamic commands panel, we can further adjust, right? So let's reduce some of this height above. Let's go to 0. I don't necessarily need any of these gallery rails. So let's just reduce this to 0. And then I can simply pick the bottom of the prongs up into the halo, like so. And I can even angle it or bend the prongs should I want. Something like that. And whenever I'm done, again, I can right click to accept. One thing that I like to do with all of my models is give the model like a set look, right? So for the first time in Gemvision software, you can create a head that has a set look. So let me go back and edit my head. And then I'm going to head to level 2. And you can see I'm presented with more viewport control handles, right? So I can come here and extrude my dome And then I can rotate it on top of the stone like so. So now it gives you that kind of set look. And once I right click, you can see that geometry is created. Okay, so the last thing we want to do is simply put some milli down the side, right? So let me select my outside curve, and I'm going to gem on curve. So this will, any curve I have, it will put gems on top of it, right? So let's use the viewport handles to adjust it a bit. Let's make sure. Let's go to 1.5 at the top. And right here, we're going to taper the end. That way I can make it a little bit wider. So let's go to 2 millimeters. And the next thing I want to do is pull them into my surface, right? So we're going to do a simple kind of scallop cut. So let's pull them in. And if I get to the wireframe, you can see they are in there. And let's open the spacing up just a tad. There we go. And I just realized I did not cap my bridge. So let's do that real quick. So the same way, I'm just going to select that profile I used to create it and run a profile cap. Right click. I can select that profile cap and then mirror to this side. I can select my bridge and my caps, and I'm going to join them real quick. And we can put them back to green. Okay, so now my stones are there. So let's select those stones. And let's run under the cutters, we have micro prong cutters. Now what this will do is create some gem cuts. So let's go up here to the top. And I have under the kebab menu at the commands, right, I have style. So if I select a style, you can see I have a few style sheets that are saved. So if I select any one of my styles, I can import it. And it this will allow me to do the in-between cuts. So let's bend it just a bit. Let's pull it down into my surface. And let's increase the height just a bit. So whenever I right click, that geometry is created. So now I need to select these stones one more time. Let's rerun the micro prong cuts. Oop, I did not mean to select all of the stones. I just wanted the ones in the shank. And let's rerun the micro prong cuts. Okay, so let's go ahead. Up here under the dynamic commands, I have the cutter profile, which is this box right here. So I can select that, and it gives me a bunch of profile options. So I want to do those kind of half circle scallops that you see on a lot of modern jewelry. So I'm going to select channel 3 and just double click. So here you can see it's created this kind of half circle look. So let's use the viewport handles. Let's make them straight. Let's go to a wireframe view just to make sure. Let's pull it down just a bit more, and then we can increase the height just to make sure it's coming all the way through the metal. And once you are satisfied, you can right click. So now you can see we are almost done. Next, all we have to do is the graver cut that goes down the center, right? So let's select our stones one more time and run a channel cut. So let's use the viewport handles one more time. And we're going to do this nice thin graver cut. There we go. So I can right click. And this is what my cutters will look like. So I'm going to select all of my cutters and stones from this side, and I want to mirror them to the other side, just like I did the shank. So under the transform, I have mirror, and it will mirror them over. I can right click, and now that geometry is on the left side. Next, all we have to do is just do the booleans. So under solid right here, I have a Boolean difference. So again, if you're not familiar with CAD, a Boolean is simply a deduction between two objects, okay? So I want to deduct my cutters, which are my orange, from my dark green. So I can run Boolean difference, and it's asking me for the first surfaces. So those are going to be my shank. When I right click, I will select the second surfaces, which are going to be my cutters, and then I can right click. Once it calculates, you can see I now have this nice kind of French set scallop look. And once I right click, that geometry is accepted, and this model is pretty much good to go. The only other thing that I personally would do would be to gem cut these. So we can do that real quick just to show you guys. So we have a gem cutter. So with the stones selected, I can gem cut. So you can see it is populating these. We also have saved style sheets for cutters. So I can select my kebab menu, go to styles, and I can choose, let's do number 3, which is essentially a gypsy cut, right? 105, 105. And when I'm ready, I can right click. Let's take those cutters and mirror them to the other side. Right click, and then we can do our Boolean one more time. So let's select our first surface and then our second. And when I'm done, I can right click, and now you can see we have that split prong French set. Now the power of MatrixGold is really in the parametric history. So let's pose a hypothetical, right? Let's say a customer comes in and says, well, you know, I like it, but I either want a larger stone or I want a different shape center stone. So most softwares you would be like, let me redraw. Well, in MatrixGold, you can simply edit commands, and if they want a smaller stone, you can reduce the size, and everything will automatically snap. Now, the more commands you have populated, the more calculations it has to do, but it will automatically adjust to that size. And if they want to, let's say, go to a round, you can select a different shape, and the halo and everything will automatically update. If I right click, it will accept that. And lastly, let's say the customer wants more stones down the shank or wants fewer stones. So most cases in legacy software, you would have to again redraw. Well, MatrixGold, you can simply edit that gem on curve, and let's pull them down about here. So when I pull them, the software will automatically calculate that it's adding stones, and it will automatically add additional cuts for you. So if they wanted to increase the size right here, again, the software will understand and automatically calculate that. So whenever I right click, that model is updated. So that is the power of MatrixGold. It's extremely complex, and like I said, the more commands you have over here, the longer it'll take to calculate, but it will automatically calculate. So let's go back one step. Any questions on this model?
Okay. I know that one of our guests would like to see you demo the render setup, but I don't know if you just keep that in mind because you may have other things you want to do before you go to that step.
Yeah, no, that we can definitely touch on that. So just for a little context, MatrixGold does not use V-Ray. So V-Ray is kind of an industry standard, but Cycles is up and coming because it uses ray tracing technology and much newer technology, right? So V-Ray, essentially you apply a picture to a surface. Ray tracing is quite different. Ray tracing, you essentially have a metaphorical render room, right? And you have a camera. That camera shoots pixels, for lack of a better term, around that room, and anywhere it comes into contact with geometry, it will relay information back to the camera. So I say that to say that the rendering is, I'm still learning, so please don't take my renders as, art, because they're very far from it. But it's extremely powerful render, so you do have to, take time to learn it. So let me go ahead and cut these real quick.
While you're doing that, Bo, either you or Oriel could answer. William wants to know if the program will automatically straighten the prongs on emerald cuts.
You have the control to do anything that you want. So what Bo did is he blend the prongs on top of the stone to give a finished look, just to do the render. That is actually what he's doing now. But then once you need to go to production, because it's parametric and you can modify any prior step, you can go back to the head step where you have the head tool and just straighten the prongs. So then you have the prongs and the setting ready to be produced.
Yeah, so once I'm done, okay, so he's asking about, for production. So you can always come down here, edit the head, and take the dome rotation out. That way you have extra metal to set the stone, right? I just did this for, for the production look.
Well, and it's so important as everybody's trying to move more and more of their design capability online. Consumers just don't understand those extra tall CAD prongs. So it's a great feature to have where you can give a photographic representation that's really refined and still have a good production model.
Yeah. One of the hardest things to do is to get customers to use their imagination when they want to see a physical piece. That's one of the things that we struggled with in CAD/CAM, because again, you had wanted me to elaborate on the sketch team. So the sketch team, it's a group of 3 people that were chosen due to their skill in CAD modeling. Essentially, the sketch team takes a a picture of or idea of a model, and they create whatever the customer is wanting. You know, I've done Texas Tech University signets. I've done mermaids, you know, stuff like that. So it gets pretty elaborate. So yeah, once in Stellar, we had to make the models for production, right? So to get those customers to understand that, hey, these prongs are there for production, it's so difficult, right?
Yep.
Because you don't want to tell them, hey, just imagine
Imagine
prong.
right?
So it's so hard, right? Okay, so let's do a quick render. So my model is set up. I booleaned all of my gems at 100%. I'm going to select my render tab and open up my render studio. So here you can see we have a general style. I also have created my own styles, right? So I'm going to select one that I created and apply it. If I want to see, I can select the drop down right here and go to ray trace, and it will actually show me a ray traced view of that ring. Now, as I said, the cycles engine is extremely powerful, so we have to kind of adjust the environment to what we want, right? So let's do this to plat. We will select our stones. Let's go down to diamond. Let's apply this. And I like to use a ground plane. There is an understood ground plane in the model, but I like to use the shiny car paint just because I find it gives me the best environment look. So let's add that. I'm also going to add a light. So let's go to light. I'm going to add a rectangle light. Right here, and let's adjust. And you can see as I move it on the ground plane, you can see more reflection. Let's point it at that center stone just to get some fire out of it. Let's make sure it's pointing at it, which it is. Okay, so let's stage the render a bit. And whenever you're ready, you can come here and choose whatever resolution you would like. So let's do 1080, and then you can choose a number of passes. Let's do 250. And whenever you're ready, you can render, but there's also a few things you can adjust here under the render material. So if you want to choose a different color, you know, platinum, let's say you have a brighter alloy and you want it more white, you can do so. Let's say you have a matte alloy, you can turn the shine all the way down. You can choose a different finish on it if you want. And then under the environments, you have even more, right? You can choose a reflection, you can choose the lighting, and even the backdrop. So like I said, it's pretty powerful, but it does take a little bit of learning. So let's go ahead, stage it, and let's hit render. Sorry about that.
And I see that you have choose full HD resolution. What it will take a bit longer, but
yeah.
When it's for websites, you don't need to choose this resolution, and it takes even less time.
Yeah.
But this is what one of the comments that I was replying in the chat. So depending on where you want to post these renders, if you want a big picture, sometimes because we do shows around the world, many times dealers are asking us to have a nice render to have in their booth. So we use MatrixGold. We do a nice render with a high resolution. We send it to them, and then they are able to just post it in their booth with a very, very high quality.
Yeah. And so one thing that I would probably do after the fact is lighten up my environment. So increase more lighting just to kind of get, some more reflection off of that shank. We're almost out of time, so I won't go through that, but you guys can see, it's pretty powerful. At the bottom down here, you can see that it's path tracing. So this is part of the ray trace that I was explaining. So it essentially takes an initial screenshot of the model, and then it'll continually refine that image up to the designated number of passes. So I chose 250, right, for a better, cleaner render. So it's going through those passes, and we're halfway there. So, any questions about this?
Well, we have I don't know if I pronounced it well. Is asking you if you might share how you have set up your own general style.
Yeah, so that does take a bit. Essentially, what you do is go through the rendering. Here, apply. Whatever metals. Go to the environment and set whatever reflections you want, and then you can go and save new general style right here, but that will save that look of the render for you, right? So that way you can always call upon it whenever you want to render, just like I did initially.
And this is something that we do because believe us when we say that about rendering there is thousands and thousands of different opinions. So it's very, very hard to get the right render for everyone. Many times people is saying, hey, I just want a button to click and get a nice render. So the next question is, all right, what is a nice render for you? And honestly, the answers that you get are, well, endless. So we thought that the best thing that we can do is give an easy way to play with all these different options to get a nice render. So this is why we have all these different styles. So you can play with all the different styles that we have. And once you find the style that is suiting the better your taste, then you can still go to all the different options that you have and refine it. And then, as Boaz said, you can save that style as your own style, and you can keep using it. There's many people who's trying, or is now just posting all their designs on websites. It's always nice to have the same look to all these styles or to all these designs. So it's good to have your own style, so you can keep hitting that style. So always you have the same look for all the renders in your website.
Well, and that kind of consistency is really important for your marketing. If you're doing a different style for every render, you can't make your website have any elegance. Which I have a question. Can you guys render without any background at all, like a ping file?
Oriol, you want to take that?
Yes, yes. We have the PNG that is actually where Bo is hitting now. Okay. So if you hit there, you just get the ring.
So for our attendees, when you're in there rendering, when you produce your main, like a JPEG file, do yourself a favor and produce a lower res ping file right away, because your website designer will love you for it when you want them to put the jewelry in different environments and they don't have to mask out the background. It's just a good discipline to produce the PNG at the same time.
Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted to touch on what's to come or not, but it's sort of using this, right? Oriol?
Yeah. And I believe that I don't know what the assistants will say, but I believe that this render, it looks very, very nice. So it's a nice way to present design to any customer.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to show is kind of the depth of field. So this is something that I put on all of my renders. I'll show you guys real quick. So essentially it will blur the image, right? And then using, a pick tool. So let's say you want to focus on the center stone, right? We can preview it. So it's going to make the center stone and halo our focal site. And then you can kind of blur the background, kind of like you're looking, looking just at that. Because in real life, if you look at something, right, your peripherals are kind of blurry, right? So this kind of imitates that.
That's cool. You would also like to know, can you load the general style from somebody else? Like if somebody has a general style, can you import it?
Yes, you can.
You can.
Yes. So we have from different. I hope that the next question is not, Bo, can please post your style here?
I think that's where this is going. I would invite you to figure out what style fits your needs and go through it and find your own style, right?
But yes, we have. You can. The question that was if you can load different styles from someone else, you can do it. So going through the folders, you can do that.
Very cool. There are a lot of questions about training, and we could come back on screen when you're done with the demo and address those.
Sure.
But do any of our attendees have other questions that you'd like Bo to show you from the demo?
Oop.
Of course, Bo jumped the gun, but that's okay.
Yep, that's all right.
William's saying it would be nice to be able to export some CS Freestyle to Matrix. I absolutely agree with you.
Oriel, you want to take this one?
Yes. Look, this is something that always. That's a question that always have been in our environment. Yes, it will be nice. We know that there is this request from many customers, and we have this in our to-do list. But when I'm saying this is, what is the best way to do that? There is different options that we are thinking about. The first thing that we need to think about is let each software understand each other, and we are working on that. So we have CounterSketch, we have MatrixGold. Back in the days, Matrix and CounterSketch were a totally different technology. Now, because we are working more as a team all together, the two technologies together, these two softwares are becoming very, very similar, the way that they are performing. So this will make what the systems are asking easier. And this is all that I can say.
Sworn to secrecy.
So, Bo, if you want to share your general style file with the group, I'll be glad to pass it along.
Well, Oriel's going to have to walk me through how to export it.
So, Bo, there's a lot of questions about training. So and I know that Oriel shared that Gemvision has a Gemvision Academy, that buyers of the software have access to the Academy for 6 months from the date of purchase. Are other places teaching this as well?
So as far as MatrixGold, just to kind of touch on what Oriel said a bit, every purchase of the software does come with 6 months online academy and 6 months technical support. Other than that, we have a few other different options. For starters, we have the class style training. The class is a 4 or 5 day instructor-led walkthrough. Now, because of the current state of the world, we have had to adapt kind of like every other business, right? So we're starting to do more class style trainings, but on webinars, right? So we offer that, but towards the end of 2021, we will start to offer on-site trainings again. So that would be a 4 or 5 day class that you come to Lafayette. inside of Stellar, and you train in an instructor-led 4-day class. Currently, we don't have the schedule up yet, just because they're still working on finalizing that, and this whole COVID is, ever evolving. So other than that one, we do have the year of the online academy that you can purchase, and we also have what we call an on-demand one-on-one training. So this is an hourly training that you can purchase and sit with a Gemvision instructor over a webinar, right? And you can kind of talk to them and ask them questions. What a lot of customers do is send them an example of a job that they're having issues with, and the instructor will walk them through how to create that job in MatrixGold. So
that's a cool offer. And then on top of it, don't you you do a weekly webinar, right?
I do a weekly webinar.
So what do you cover in it, and how do people get involved in that?
Yeah, so every week it's a little bit different. We try to keep the content fresh and new. Oriole and I are trying to also host YouTube streaming. So what I would recommend for you guys to do is check out our social media and subscribe to it. That way you get notifications when we do go live. Other than that, we have our weekly Wednesday webinar where you can go to gemvision.com. Under the learning tab at the top, they have webinars, right? If you select that, you can register for the Counter Sketch or the MatrixGold webinar. Those MatrixGold webinars are generally every week. This live event took the place. They're normally on Wednesdays, but
you need to move your time. MJSA is on Wednesdays at this time.
I know. Well, our time's at 11, so it's before. So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but last week, and then this coming week, I've had to postpone. My son just had tonsillectomy, and I've been working from home, as you can see by my beautiful Christmas tree right here. So it's been interesting, but we'll try to resume those as soon as possible. But yes, you can register on gemvision.com.
And are there replays available of those too?
So that's kind of a touchy subject.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. As anyone in the software industry knows, piracy is rampant, right? So if you attend, right, you can get a replay. If you attend the webinar, you can get a replay to view. If you do not attend, reach out to the sales rep, and they can do like a personal demo with you or send you some videos. But generally, because those webinars are more like step-by-steps, we try not to post them to the public. We don't want to train pirates, and not that everybody's a pirate. It's one of our steps that we had to take to mitigate that.
Fair enough.
One of the questions that I see in the chat, Andrea, sorry if I go ahead, is please share your general style, as we were thinking. But this being said, I feel like one of the things that we can do, Bo, is actually in one of the next webinars that you are going to do, you can do a webinar on how to create this style. So yeah. I rather people learning how to do it. I know that they are saying, yeah, come on, give it to us. But I really believe that it's good to understand how to create these styles, because they can create their own one. So probably something that we can do is in one of the next webinars, learn how to do that.
Yeah, that's great. Teach me to fish, huh?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. So other questions from our audience? We're starting to wind down now. We have a few minutes left. I want to make sure you guys ask Oriole and Bo all the questions you want to ask. And now we all start staring intently at the chat box. Anything else you guys were thinking of covering? I have a question. How long do you think, for say an intermediate level CAD designer on any software, so somebody who understands CAD, they've got the models built already, how long do you think it will take them to get proficient on MatrixGold?
So I get this question quite often, and customers don't really like my answer, but it depends really. There's so many variables, right? Exposure, how often you watch videos, if you attended training or not. Generally, I see my customers that come over from Matrix and the ones that are dedicated to learning it generally take 6 months, and then they're proficient. They can do whatever they want. They're still learning at that point, but they feel comfortable enough in the software to be able to create whatever they want. Now, that being said, if you're a Matrix customer or Rhino Gold customer and you cross over and just expect it to happen for you, you do have to put some effort into the training and stuff like that, but generally about 6 months to answer your question directly.
All right. Ballparks are fair.
And the thing is that, as Bo was saying, when you are coming from other softwares, it's always easier to realize what you need to do next, because you already know the software. So there was some questions from customers coming from Rhino Gold. Of course, the MatrixGold is not Rhino Gold, but for sure that once you finish one step in MatrixGold, you are looking for the next one. You are already thinking what it should be the next one. So then all this process shortens up instead of being a new user, of course. There is just a few workflows that you need to change your mind coming from Matrix or Rhino Gold. That is the way that you use surfaces and curves, because in MatrixGold is different because we are using the parametric. But once you change your mind, and believe me that I have gone through a lot of different CAD softwares, and it's funny because sometimes people is asking me from Rhino Gold or Matrix, and I don't know how to do it. I already don't remember how to do it. So my mind is already now in MatrixGold. And this is something that once you do that change, that switch, it's and it doesn't take long once you are coming from another software.
Yeah.
Now, Malcolm asked a question about 5 minutes after we started, and no, Malcolm, you didn't miss the answer. We just kept going, and I didn't raise the question. Malcolm wants to know how you place hallmarks.
How?
Well, you can do a Boolean if this is what I am understanding. So we have different technologies. One of the technologies that you can use is get just the curves that you have from this hallmark. You can use just say the emboss to do the relief, and then with this relief that you get, you can do the Boolean. We have also textures that will be a good way to do it. But I believe that having the emboss and doing the Boolean will be an easy way to do it.
Yep, or text on curve, and you can Boolean like Oriel said.
If it's a name, a text on curve probably is the easiest. If it's a logo, that many brands has their own logos, then I would go for the emboss.
Jeffrey's saying, I understand that to use MatrixGold, you have to be connected to the internet, that you can't just download the program to a laptop and use it at your convenience while traveling. So is there any workaround for that, or you just have to have Wi-Fi available?
Yeah, so just like, I mean, any other software nowadays, you do have to have internet. Yeah, I mean, Adobe, right? You're not getting on your Adobe suite unless you don't have internet. It's just a product of the world we live in.
Well, there are trade-offs.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
With the old software, you could download it. You could also get 16 versions behind. And
very true.
We're all on the same version. It keeps the software costs lower, folks. When the software vendor can have everybody on the same version all the time, then it actually reduces our prices for software because they're not trying to support 22 different versions all at once.
Yep.
So there are trade-offs.
And the credential system is kind of a cloud-based, right? So it helps one with piracy. Let's say, secondhand sales. It protects your investment because let's say a pirate knocks the software off. They can offer their designs at half the cost that someone that paid for the license can. So this online credential system allows you that you know, to be comfortable in the fact that nobody's going to knock the software off. So
Alex wants to know where the data sits.
In your computer. I was just replying that. So we are using internet just to check your license. The data is in your computer. Everything is in your computer. The only thing that we are doing is just calling to your license to see to check that it's the license that we are calling. That's the only thing that we do with internet. So many times the people is saying, "Oh, my internet is not that good." You don't need the fast internet to run our software. Our software doesn't run in the cloud as there is other softwares that it runs. We believe that the technology is not ready for that. MatrixGold needs power, so just running it from the cloud is still not possible. So everything runs in your computer. All your files are in your computer. We don't have access to your files. The only thing that we are doing is just calling your MatrixGold saying, "Hey, is this you?" Yes, then keep going.
yeah, it definitely does not pull a lot.
Cloud, or are they still taking manual updates?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
What about updates? Will you be pushing updates through the cloud, or are they still doing manual updates?
No, so anytime that we push an update, we have the launcher. So once you get MatrixGold, we have the launcher. That from that launcher is where you launch MatrixGold. Okay. Anytime that we push an update, instead having the button saying launch, it will say update your software. So you update your software automatically. We don't load the new version, and the next is hit launch, and you will get MatrixGold with the last update.
So you can travel with your laptop as long as you can hit wireless long enough to get a credential, which, I mean, I've been working just fine. Well, I haven't gone anywhere since March, but last time I was in Africa was last summer, and I was able to credential pretty much everywhere. So as long as you can hit a wireless for a minute, you can credential, but you may not be able to take an update.
But the thing is that you need to stay connected, because the checks that we are doing are every 2 minutes. So you can, yes, because as longer we stay without checking your license, easy is for anyone to try to crack our software. So that's why we need to keep checking your license every 2 minutes.
You have to stay connected, but it doesn't have to be a good connection.
Correct. That's right. So many users, everyone today is connected to Facebook. So with the connection that you have with your smartphone to Facebook, you can let us check your license. So you just need to have the mobile connected to your computer, and we can check with just this network.
All right. That should resolve all but the very most remote.
Yeah.
Look, one last question, and then we're going to have to wrap it. Logan wants to know if you can still upload files from Blender and other 3D applications.
Is he referring to importing them into MatrixGold?
I believe.
Yes. So if you're talking about importing geometry, you can pretty much, as long as Rhino accepts your geometry, MatrixGold will too. Now, because it was not built in MatrixGold, you won't have that parametric history that makes MatrixGold special, but you will get the geometry from whatever file you're importing.
Okay. So I don't know if, Logan, without knowing what files you're importing from a game design environment, I don't know if that, looks like he's happy. Okay, yeah. So with that, any last things you guys want to share, Oriel and Bo, before I wrap this up?
No, from my side, I think that Bo did a perfect job demoing our software. Super thankful for all the assistance that we have and all the questions that they have been doing. I believe that is the main questions that we used to get when we are demoing our software, and I think that Bo has been pretty clear with the demo. So yes, the next thing, the thing that I get is that what we need to do in our next webinar, Bo. We know that there's people waiting for your style, so we know that. And just say thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you for having us, Andrea. This was a great opportunity, and I appreciate you taking your time out of your busy day to help us.
Oh, are you kidding? This was fun. I was looking forward to it all week. So, well, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to thank both of you for being so generous with your time and knowledge, and letting people get a chance to know you and your software better. MatrixGold, really exciting product. So I can't wait to see what people are doing with it. And I'd like to thank MJSA for taking MJSA Expo and putting it online. It's not as fun to not be able to just hang out and drink with each other after the show, but it is the next best thing to being there. And these episodes are great. So we don't have any more Wednesday afternoon MJSA Expo online between now and the end of the year, but we'll pick it back up in January, I believe. However, next week, and that will still be Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern when we come back after the new year. And then next week, we do have one more MJSA webinar, which is our Thursday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern time webinar every other Thursday. We have one more before the end of the year. I'll be sharing with you 21 tips for 2021, business, production, marketing, merchandising. We're going to cover a little bit of everything that you need to know for the new year. So we hope you'll join us for that. And with that, I'd like to wrap it up. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for being here.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.